Hey guys, and welcome back to Boxmining. Today we have a really cool interview, and it relates to prediction markets. It's something that we've been discussing a little bit, just a tiny little bit. But there's a huge opportunity here, and there's a few cases where you really want to build a prediction market, but there's some cases where it has also failed as well. Now with PlotX coming along, we have Ish Goel, the co-founder of PlotX here, and he's going to relay some of his experiences, both building the platform, launching the mainnet. Let's know a little bit about you. How do you get into the whole space? What are you trying to do?
Thanks, Michael. Happy to introduce myself. Yeah, Michael, I've been in the crypto space for almost 5 years now. Way back in 2015, 16, that was the time when I was started to explore the whole crypto ecosystem. I got connected in the London fintech ecosystem, spent almost around a year researching the technology. That's when I got to know about Ethereum for the first time. After about spending a year, I ended up winning the London Blockchain Week hackathon in January 2017. And that was also the time when I met Hugh Karp from Nexus Mutual, and I kind of joined him as the CTO of Nexus Mutual. Served for around 2.5 years, saw Nexus Mutual through launch. We built it through scratch. And it was an amazing journey when we launched it in May 2019, and to see what Nexus has done today. So somewhere in Feb 2020, Michael, I kind of moved on from Nexus to build what PlotX is today. So yeah, that's a very quick background of what I've been doing. And since Feb 2020, we've been able to build an amazing team, which has worked very hard on building PlotX, and now it's the time to launch.
And I think your timing is impeccable, right? Being in blockchain 2017, that's like where kind of the cradle of innovation is. And I guess being a programmer too, you're in a perfect position. So you did Nexus Mutual, great launch there, amazing insurance. It's been copying with that for a while. I've been using a little bit of that too in the wrap form. Okay, in the wrap form. And now you're talking about prediction markets. So let's roll back a bit, all right? I always wanted to roll back a bit. Like, look, let's start from scratch. Like, let's assume that I don't know what prediction markets are. What are prediction markets?
Sure. So, Michael, it's actually a very important question to answer. A lot of people don't understand how prediction markets work. Whenever we talk about prediction markets, people are generally talking about making predictions on the outcome of events such as elections or sports or stuff like that. So, if I take a step back, I want to actually talk to you about how we started thinking about prediction markets and what is different in PlotX. So, when I was working on Nexus Mutual and a couple other solutions that we were building for the last 3 years, I realized that the toughest problem for an average trader out there. So somebody, I think I am a noob trader. So I am, by professionally, I am not, I don't have a trading degree or any sort of professional understanding of how that's done. So when I used to look at a lot of these exchanges out there, which were available, I thought, how am I going to go through this? I mean, it's not easy for me to trade, currencies or, for example, the Bitcoins of the world. And eventually then Uniswap came in, right? And when Uniswap came in, it made things super simple. It allowed people to use an automated market making algo to kind of exchange assets, swap assets, and then trading became a lot easier. So now coming back to what a prediction market is, technically speaking, it's an events derivative. You are able to predict on the future outcome of a specific event. Now that event can be anything. It could be an election result. It can be, for that matter, any other future event. But what PlotX really is focusing on, Michael, we are not focusing on any subjective future event. We thought there is a massive gap with respect to focusing on the future price of crypto assets, which is in a very loose meaning also called trading. But the trading on in a very, very simple way, which can focus on the bottom of the pyramid with respect to allowing people a very simple interface to predict on the future of crypto assets. So prediction market PlotX, if you were to define it in a very layman term, it allows you to take positions on the price of crypto assets. These positions can be a short position, a long position, or a neutral position. So if a layman wants to understand what a prediction market is, you can predict on the future price of crypto assets, and you can take 3 positions in different markets that are always available.
The way I've kind of first understood it, Ru, is, you always discuss topics with your friends, like who's going to win the election, and everyone has an opinion. But I'm just saying, some people talk, but when it comes to delivering, not much there. So that's kind of my take on prediction markets, where you kind of have to put some form of value to it. And in this case, you're focusing specifically on the prices of cryptocurrencies. So you can say, look, I feel like, like if I'm John McAfee, I'm like, yo, I'm John McAfee. I'm like, Bitcoin is going to go to $100 million. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my dick. But we're not going to put my dick on the table, all right? But we're going to put some money there. Right? That makes a lot more sense. And that's the thing. So you can put a position where it's long, where you think it's going to go up, or short if you think it's going to go down, or neutral, right, where you don't think it's going to go anywhere for a certain period of time. So that's the point I want to stand. So you're approaching this from a purely at an angle where it's about crypto. So it's crypto prices, and then you can place all these positions. Now, why do that?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So first of all, PlotX doesn't create any market. So it's a set of smart contracts, open source protocol, which has been developed over the last 10 years. The markets are created using an AMM that we've built. So the idea here is that the automated market making algorithm creates the markets with the help of obviously market creators, which we can speak about. Then the market settlement also happens automatically, and the rewards, if any, are distributed automatically as well. People can claim it, the participants can claim it. So the biggest thing here, Michael, is that for an average trader, they don't need to use complex trading setups to be able to trade on the crypto. Using a prediction market, it makes it super simple to speculate on the prices of crypto. That's how we start. Yeah.
Okay. And this opens a whole can of worms too, right? Because obviously there's been other tools to do this, right? So, just out there, we got, BitMEX, FTX, we have this Bitcoin perpetual futures, Ethereum perpetual futures. Kind of, what's the difference here between a derivatives exchange and what you're trying to do in a predictions market?
Excellent question, Michael. So all of them, the examples that you took are all centralized, centralized derivatives exchange. You know the issues with BitMEX already. The advantage of a decentralized derivatives sort of an exchange / prediction markets is the fact that you can have a provably fair algorithm that is running your the derivatives market here. So the smart contracts are open source. People can see that there is no centralization with respect to how rewards are settled, how markets are created, how participation is done. The formulas for calculating the pricing mechanism is absolutely on chain. Also, the price settlement is happening using oracles. And the oracles are taken via Chainlink. So there is a huge amount of decentralization which is available in the markets that are created on a decentralized derivatives sort of a platform. So that is the core difference, I would say. How is it different from the centralized options that you just mentioned? And also the AMM. The issue with most exchanges out there is, and that's what Uniswap did to most exchanges. It completely removed the need for a market maker. And there is an algo which does that. So we've kind of also used that similar logic, but in the case of a prediction market. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So obviously I gave you an easy question right there. And now it's going to get a little bit harder, right? So let's say hypothetically I'm a trader. I think Bitcoin's going to go up. I'm going to put, let's say a baller. I'm going to put 10 Bitcoin to that, right? Let's say I'm just going to put 10 Bitcoin and say, look, in the next month, I think it's going to go up. All right. So first of all, you're telling me that this is settled kind of like Uniswap in automated market maker fashion. But the key here is that I don't actually, let's say it's 10 times leverage. So I put, how does leverage work? Like, first of all, okay, two questions. How does the leverage work? And also, how do I get a guarantee that if it goes and plays in my favor, that I'm going to get a certain amount of reward? So let's say if it's 10x leverage, how do I get let's say it goes up by 10%. How do I get my 10 Bitcoins out at the end?
Understood. So, Michael, excellent. Excellent question. So first of all, there is no concept of leverage
Mm-hmm.
in PlotX. There is a concept of deleverage. So why we want to introduce a concept of deleverage here was to have an element of risk management. Another issue which a lot of people are going crazy with in the market is using high amounts of leverage on extremely volatile markets, which is not exactly a responsible way of creating markets. So while I understand the trader mentality is at times are to borrow money and essentially play on high leverages, but that is something which is something which we don't have right now. The idea here has been that the trader should be able to use his skill for predicting the price of a specific crypto asset, and then he can manage the risk. So there is no concept of borrowing money or borrowing assets for taking leverage. You can take a risk based approach while you are buying positions. Now in terms of how the markets are settled on PlotX, so the way PlotX is, the protocol is structured is, at any time for any market there are three options. The options, as I mentioned, are long, short, and obviously neutral, and it's a zero sum game between all three of them. So whenever a trader is taking a position on, let's say, a long position, which you just you described, let's say somebody thinks that the price of a specific asset is going to go up based on his skills of doing analysis and stuff like what typically traders do, or using charts and stuff. So let's say he thinks that it's going to go up, so he takes a long position. Now the rewards that he's going to make is if that long position actually wins after, let's say, the settlement time, the rewards distributed to that specific option are the ones that are from the other two options. So it's a zero sum game between all the three options that are there on the market. So let's say the total stakes in that specific market, let's say, is 100 ether worth of total stakes, out of which, let's say, the first option, which is the long option, got 30 ethers worth of stake, and the 70 ethers were staked on the other two options. So the 70 ethers, based on the risks which those traders have taken, will be distributed to the the people who have staked on the long option. So it's a zero sum game between the three options that you see on PlotX. So that's how it. Does that make sense?
Got it. Okay, so it's a little bit different from the derivatives exchange, where in derivatives you have, say, a leverage. So if you have 10 times leverage and the asset goes up by 10% and you're in long, then 10 times 10% is 1, so you get 100%, so you double up, right? That's different here. So here you choose between the three states. I'm either long, hold, or short, and if it works, if the asset goes up, then boom, right? You win, but you win from the other two pools. So the amount that you win is actually depending on how kind of the market is at that point, right? So how many
the idea of a prediction market is to get the wisdom of the crowd, and the wisdom of the crowd can only come when there is a high amount of participation on that specific market. So the money is essentially the assets which have been staked by the traders, and they can stake either in ether or in the plot token, which is also getting launched. So the assets being staked by the traders on all the three options are between a zero sum game between all those three. So that's how it really starts.
Got it. So that's actually quite interesting. So you can actually kind of use this. So if someone wants to ask, yo, hey, what do you think of Bitcoin? Then you can be like, oh, on PlotX, there are more people who think it's going up than people who are going down, right? That's kind of like or people are going, neutral. So this is where you kind of can use the crowdsource to find the wisdom, where saying, look, people are putting money into this. So it's not just crowd voices, but crowd putting money where it's at, and they're predicting it going up, stay neutral, or going down. So
absolutely.
And you're doing that in a decentralized fashion. Now, this is very interesting, of course, but how do you kind of make this accessible, right? I think this is the biggest challenge to this kind of prediction market, because we've heard about this in the past. I mean, we heard about Augur and how it's going to change prediction market world. How are you going to make this accessible? Because that's the other biggest issue, where like, how do you get adoption from this?
Yeah, excellent question, Michael. So we've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of different people, trying to get a lot of feedback on why prediction markets haven't been able to do justice to the kind of innovation that has been gone into it. And the likes of Augur have done an amazing job in kickstarting the whole ecosystem around prediction markets. But I think there are a couple of issues with the attempts that have been made in the past. The first issue, Michael, that I see in the past attempts and what PlotX is trying to solve, as I keep talking about, is the AMM part of it. The issue on a lot of existing prediction markets is that people can create just about any market. And those markets can run for like really long time. So, in Feb 2020, I saw there were some markets about whether Trump will come in the next elections or not, and that market is not going to end for like 6 months. The issue is in the DeFi space. I don't think there are. I mean, the ecosystem is as warm and as mature today to be able to stake their assets for a market that's going to end after 6-7 months. It's those markets do not attract liquidity. So the reason why a lot of prediction markets have not been able to attract the sort of liquidity with a lot of other DeFi products have attracted is the reason the reason of non-standard markets. So in PlotX, I think the way we are fixing this is there are three types of markets which can be created. One is an hourly market, then there is a weekly market. Hourly, daily, and weekly. So there are three kinds of markets which are created at any point in time. So what will be the price of Bitcoin in the next 1 hour? What will be the price of Bitcoin in the next 24 hours? Or what will be the price of Bitcoin in the next 1 week? So these are the three markets that are created on PlotX at any point in time. And the traders don't have to, mess around trying to find the right market. They always have one market running either in hourly, daily, or weekly for the asset that they want to predict on. And boom, there's nothing else that you have to do. Just go on that market, connect your MetaMask, and predict. It's absolutely non-custodial. As developers, obviously, we have no control on the entire interface that is being done. And adding on to that, there is an on-chain governance which launches on day one. So the community has the control of how the protocol is going to get developed. And the idea has been to make sure that there is community governance from day one.
So, okay, going forward here, so you have this ability to do prediction markets on this. Now, obviously, the other biggest issue, right? So, before coming here, and we all heard this, PlotX is kind of like the Uniswap of prediction markets, right? Having automated market making. Who participates in the automated market making? So now you always have liquidity, but on Uniswap, you get the community to stake, right? So they become the other side of the trade. So that's why there's always the ability to trade in Uniswap. So there's always liquidity to be on the other side. But how about for this? How does that work?
Yeah, so every market has three liquidity pools. So the three options are essentially liquidity pools. People are staking their assets on all three of them, and then the settlement happens between the three of them. So that's how it really works. And the market creation is also based on a logic which is already coded on the smart contract. So the parameters of the market are always visible to everyone. So that is how it works. And the liquidity provision on all the three options that you see get settled, and there is no limit for people. I mean, people can stake as much as they want. There is no limit for you to be able to stake certain amounts based on the fact that there is underlying liquidity or not. So it's scalable to that level that all the three options can have as much liquidity as people would wish to put, and then the settlement happens.
Because so it's basically placing it in pools, and you have to really kind of examine how much is in each pool, so you actually roughly know estimated output. But because it's counted towards the end, it's only an estimate. So the amount that you'll potentially win depends on the final pool rather than the pool at time of entry, right?
That's correct.
Got it. Okay, so this is going on. Obviously, that's great, and yet it's a zero-sum game, right? And obviously, some traders like it. But there is also a problem where on Ethereum, interacting with smart contracts can be quite costly. So let's say if I'm a small player, I have $10. I feel like Bitcoin's going to go up in the next week. I've done my analysis. I've calculated, and I said, look, this is the pattern. Like whether from some yield or not, that it's going to go up. Gas prices might kill me, right? Because if it costs $20 to interact with this contract and I'm only putting in $10 in, how am I going to solve this issue?
Yeah, that's a good question, Michael. So we are aware of this issue, and obviously trying to fix it every day. So there are a lot of conversations that we've had with L2 solutions. We've also had a partnership with Matic, trying to understand how Matic can help us with a scalable L2 solution. We are also exploring ZK rollups to see how that can be used to.
Mm.
But there are certain pros and cons of going into an L2 as well. The user experience gets a massive hit, and then there is, if you use ZK rollups, there is an element of centralization that you end up having in the ecosystem, which we don't want to do. So it's really we are in a situation with respect to scalability, obviously, but there is stuff happening on the L2 side. There is a lot of experiments that we are doing. Sooner or later, it should be solved. But for now, we plan to launch on the Ethereum mainnet tomorrow. Very excited for that. But you're right. Going forward, scalability is going to be a challenge, and we are well aware of that. And I think the community itself, there are so many contributions that are being done with respect to how this can be improved on the L2. I think we'll hit a solution quickly.
Got it. So you haven't thought about a scaling solution yet, but definitely it's one of the biggest problems kind of towards the adoption side. And on that note as well, so you're launching your mainnet tomorrow. So tomorrow, what can people expect to do on PlotX tomorrow?
Yeah, so almost pretty much everything. So there are by default two markets which are being created, two types of markets, Michael. One is obviously the Bitcoin and the Ether market. People can predict on these markets starting tomorrow. Thanks to our on-chain governance, people can also suggest new markets that they want to add, and it'll be added automatically when the vote passes. So, for example, if people are excited about predicting on the price of YFI, raise a proposal for YFI, and then the community of plot holders will eventually vote on whether they would like to see a market for YFI. And if the vote passes, the market will automatically start getting created via the smart contracts. So by default, two markets are being started. One is Bitcoin, and then there is Ether. Apart from that, any new market, it's up to the community, how the community wants to see the protocol going. Basically, our job is technically done with respect to the development side of it. Now it's up to the community to come together and take it forward.
Interesting. So you're using a whole DAO governance model. So it's a decentralized autonomous organization that decides what gets added, what features to implement. Will you? But is there code that needs to be implemented? I mean, the code side. Would you still do that, or who's going to do that?
Yeah. I mean, we are happy to be a part of the community, obviously. But the code is autonomous. The markets, the new market addition does not require my interference, or for that matter, anybody else's interference. It's just that you need to input the Chainlink Oracle path and get the community to agree on the specific asset, and then boom, the markets start getting created. It's absolutely autonomous.
Got it. So in that sense as well, it's not very zero sum because the contract itself has to call on the code, right? So how much would users expect to pay for such, or how much kind of tax, or what portion of fees would there be for such a service?
Yes. So we don't take any fees from the platform. There is an idea of self-sustenance. So if you predict using Ether, the fees is 0.1%. If you predict using Plot, the fees is 0.05%. This fees eventually goes to the market creators, which are essentially creating the markets using the AMM, or it goes to the DAO from a self-sustenance perspective. So we call this AMM mining, because the AMM also needs to pay for the gas fee. It needs a pool of funds, and that fund essentially is taken from the fee that I just mentioned. So it's a self-sustained ecosystem. There is no centralized authority which is taking any sort of fee. The fee gets revolved in the DAO. The fee which is cut from the market participants is used for AMM mining, essentially to be able to create the markets eventually. So that's how it works.
This is one of the hard questions, right? It's like in 5 years, well, what do you see for this? What contribution do you see PlotX giving in the next 5 years to the entire community?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think Michael, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So I think we are just getting started. Tomorrow is only the start of the whole effort that has gone in. So it's a long journey which needs to be charted. I genuinely feel that prediction markets in general have that capability to attract the masses. It's super simple. It's not as complicated as the typical DeFi product that you see out there. So whether it's PlotX or it's some other prediction market, I think we are all in this together. The whole concept of prediction markets can make sure that there are masses coming in to use a simple interface to be able to participate in this ecosystem. So I think that is what the vision is, to further the research around fair settlements on prediction markets. That's what we are in it for. I think the platform itself or the protocol itself has seen some really good test bed numbers. So there were around 10,000 predictions which have been made on the Coven testnet by around 2,400 unique addresses over the last 2 months. So we are very excited about the kind of testing which has gone into the Coven testnet launch. With that sort of numbers getting into the mainnet, I think the confidence of the community is a lot more. And I think, yeah, it's a good starting point.
Got it. Got it. So I hope this starting point goes well. I'll definitely go check out the platform, which is launching tomorrow. So with that, how do you be like, how, if when people want to find out more, how do they find more about PlotX?
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of official channels. Happy to share the links. These are on
We'll put them
Telegram.
down below, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we will put them on the video. Yeah, so we'll put them on your video, of course. So we've got official channels on Telegram and Discord. If you are more technical with respect to how you want the protocol to improve, I would say Discord is a better place for you to come in and also share your suggestions. There's a vibrant community out there which keeps giving suggestions on how to improve the protocol and what to do. Telegram is more fun, I think. If you enjoy Telegram, so please join there. But I think, yeah, those are the two places. Apart from that, all information about how PlotX works, what to expect from the launch tomorrow is available on our wiki. So that's docs.plotx.io. All the information is out there. That's also our official channel. Happy to provide the links for that.
Got it. So definitely thank you, Ish, for sharing this with us. I think definitely learned a lot more about prediction markets. It's a very different system from the more centralized derivatives trading space. And I think it definitely has the decentralized edge here, which is very, very interesting. Being able to participate in a decentralized fashion, especially with how much, that was happening last week in terms of drama in that space. I think it's a breath of fresh air. So thank you, Ish, so much for coming in. I hope you guys can check it out. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. And we'll hope to bring Ish in the future and hope the launch goes well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Michael.